Hello, hello, mis cielitos, and welcome back. Coco is here, and I will be continuing Raging Loop. Let me just get chat in place. Hello, Scoot, and hello, Bellhound. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming. Hope you're doing well. So last we left off, I believe that we had been studying the myth, and we had been getting some help from Mamiya since previously she had been a journalist that worked in articles regarding the occult. And I was a little late because I think this is something that I mentioned before and I wanted to go and double check it. But when he gave his name to Mamiya and Hashimoto, he was explaining, the characters that made up his name. And I'm pretty sure it was different than the characters that made up the cop. And I did briefly look at it before, and they were different, but there was also a way that you could sort of say some of the things were synonymous. But it still feels very strange to me that he would bother saying different words at all. So I wanted to go back and see what exactly it was, but it was definitely different. And the suspicions about this protagonist just keep piling more and more. Huh? I'm not wrong, am I? The guardian beasts of the four families were mentioned, but the badger alone has nothing. For a moment, I thought it was the wolves, but that really didn't seem likely. Is it something I shouldn't ask about? Rikako-san, do you know anything? No. Kyo, guy's asking. I'm no specialist. Huh? No one knew? I think I heard something about that. Of course she did. The badger was a servant of the Okami-sama. You mean in Yasumisu's old stories? Yes, but he doesn't get mentioned much. The lord of the hunting ground was the Okami-sama, and the badger served the Okami-sama on hunts. Or so I've heard. Is it just one? One? What do you mean? I heard there were actually 3 Okami-sama. Oh yes, there are 3 wolf statues in Shinai-san's shrine in Kami Fujiyoshi. Besides the monkeys, of which there are 2, there's only 1 of each guardian. That reminds me. I also just remembered. There was one statue like that, wasn't there? What? You mean a badger statue? I remember seeing it too, when I first went to the shrine. There was something dog-like with the others. At first, I just thought it was an Okami-sama that wasn't standing upright. Oh, so the badger wasn't a werewolf? Yes. Before dying, Jensen said something about it too. The badger's waiting for the Okami-sama to return. That makes me feel uneasy. I saw how it was. Did you realize something? It's just an assumption, but I think the badger is a guardian too. By that, I mean there's a badger roll in the feast of the Yomi Purge. That shocked everyone. What do you mean? That we might have a human who sides with the wolves? Well, that would be Haru. At least, yeah, last round. I don't know if the situation is supernatural or just a case of mass hysteria caused by everyone's fear of the legends. But either way, there could be someone who realized that someone close to them was a wolf and switched sides. Or someone who gained the same motive that's driving the wolves to kill people. Whatever the cause, I'm thinking there could be a human who sides with the wolves. Does that sound possible to you all? What the hell? You're just guessing, right? I am, but I do think it's likely. There's also the fact that the old man who died mentioned the badger, too. Couldn't he have known about it? Couldn't he have known about it because he experienced the feast before? Now you're taking it too far. Yeah, I'd say you're overthinking it. There was a badger. I'd seen it with my own eyes. Shit. It sucked not being able to make a more convincing argument. Yes, it is a guess. However, I do think we should take such potential threats seriously. Takumi-san, you said you don't believe in monsters, right? What about it? Despite that, the mist came, and you all began the feast. That means that there must have been feasts during the other mists, and people died in all of them. I'd say these two things are certainly true. His silence felt like a gesture of agreement. Then you must agree that there was something causing people to become murderers and turn on their friends, right? Wait, I didn't say we had any scumbags here. The killings could be done by some Kami Fujiyoshi guys. As naive as always, I had to restrain myself from saying that out loud. I didn't want to get on everyone's bad side. Well, suppose that there was. If they used that, they could cause a human to team up with the wolves, right? And this person might not be among us. Yet. The badger runs along late, with an air as a fix. Maybe that means the badger arrives late to the feast, along with a present to apologize. I'd be intrigued by your idea if we weren't in the middle of a life or death situation. I don't like how you're making everyone more paranoid than they need to be. Wait, but then... I hope he's just overthinking things. Sadly, I wasn't. I already knew the answer. Last time, Harumakishima was the badger. After the first night, one day after the wolves came, something happened to her that caused her to switch sides. It frightened her at first, but afterwards she decided to make herself useful to the wolves. Oh, sorry. Gensan, the one who owned my hut before me, had pretty much confirmed it before he died, meaning that he'd experienced the feast 8 years ago. It was possible that Kanzo-san and the old wolf guy were in on it as well. And since the survivor knew about the badger, it probably meant that the wolves had won 8 years ago. Kanzo-san survived too, though. Was he a wolf then? If the real story behind the feast made people into that, couldn't that have happened to Kanzo-san? Wolves and the badger. I knew it was a thing, but didn't quite understand how it worked. That was probably something I could only find out if I became a badger. Or a wolf. And that was a possibility we discussed last time. That meant it was pointless to think about it now. The thing I had to do now was... well, keep passing time. We hung out like that until evening, when Kanzo-san came back, making the same sullen face as always, and we all had an early massive dinner. The tables had boiled shishinare on them. The smell was way more tolerable than the first time I ate it, so this one probably hadn't aged as much. I was kind of used to it by now, so I could eat it like I would normal meat. Though I probably wouldn't have insisted on having it if I had the choice. However, since it was here, I could only assume that even this counted as some sort of special occasion worthy of special food. The Aztecs used to treat their human sacrifices with respect. For a whole year before their sacrifice. Mamiya-san whispered that to me alone, and I wasn't sure what to make of that. It seemed like she was implying, at least they don't make us wait that long. What a bad joke. After the meal, everyone began to leave. Kaori-san and I stayed behind to do the dishes. Thank you so much for your help. Washing the dishes all alone at a time like this might have made me go insane. I can't blame you. I had to be careful with my words. I actually knew what she was like when she went insane. I need to survive until tomorrow so I can wash the dishes again. And that's kind of cute. Oh, please don't take it too seriously. Please take over my duties at the dining hall if the wolves take me. Whoa! That's too much for me! You're still needed here. Sorry I said that. It's fine. It's about time we stopped looking away from reality and prepare ourselves. Someone will probably be gone tomorrow. She was unexpectedly calm about this. Yasunaga. He's such a gentle child. And just like his father, he has a good head on his shoulders. Whenever it's hard, he gives me a gentle smile, consoles me, and always finds the best solution. But right now, his face is so conflicted. You caught on, eh? Well, I am his mother. Yasunaga-kun had a sort of complex about his relationship with his mother. He believed that Kaori-san loved Yoshitsugu more than him. I didn't know if that was true, but at the very least, Kaori-san did treasure him dearly as her son. Right as I thought that. Yoshitsugu, what's wrong? Forget something. Why do you gotta be the only one to wash the dishes? Because you don't help. It ain't just me. The hell's Aniki thinking? Why is he leaving the dining hall at a time like this? It's good to have your own jobs. We all have something to do. The same should go for you. You mean study? That or dry the dishes. Think about what you can do for yourself. Give me something to dry with. You really are a good kid. Sadly, your kindness is going nowhere. We just finished. What's the point of that then? Shit! Well, I appreciate your attitude. It's laudable. Now go prepare for the feast and come help tomorrow. I'm going too. Yes. Good night. Hold on, lunatic. Just after I left the dining hall, he caught up with me through the mists. You should remember my name by now, too. Shut up, piss man! Piss man! No! An ambush. Damn middle schoolers. Enough joking around, lunatic. Well, that's better than piss man, at least. So if the joke wasn't the main deal, what was it? Let's go kill the fucking wolves. What? What do you mean? I'm telling all this to eat shit. Fuck the feast, and fuck Shinai. I had enough. Everyone's too chicken shit. Anything can die if you have a big enough stick. There was not a hint of fear in his voice. However, nor was there any killing intent or violence. However, he wasn't messing around. He was defiance and recklessness giving human form. What, you gonna chicken out too? You just pretended to be a lunatic? Is that it? I know I understood it all. He walked around at night last loop too, and that got him killed by the corruption. Had Yoshitsugu-kun met up with anyone before he'd gone off, like Yasunaga-kun and the others? I doubted that Yasunaga-kun was the one who'd made him into that mutilated corpse. But it had to be that thing. Oh, or maybe that thing I forgot about you. Crap. After I'd found out that the feast had normal murders last time, I'd let my guard down a bit. There were still things that couldn't be explained. There were still mysteries, unknown and scary. However, would I learn anything if I actually went with him? Even if I could loop back, all I would have to show for it would be a memory of me getting torn apart in the mist before I even realized it. Now, if I refused, he would go off on his own and die, making Kaori-san lose it and snap. How was I to prevent that? Say something, damn it! I had to hold myself from saying something. This wasn't the time for dad jokes. Go by yourself. I knew it. You're a chicken. Yeah, that's fine by me. I mean, you'll be out of the way. Huh? What a fine listener. Then I could make a move on Kaori-san. She probably gave birth at a young age, so she's still pretty youthful. Okay, I get what you're trying to do, but what a way to do it. What? Oh, this man. Hey. Well, I'm as good as dead, though, so I can enjoy her until it's my time. Rush to your death. I won't stop you. Leave your mom to me. I'll love her real good and... Whoa! I didn't expect him to charge at me head first. You fucking fuck! What do you think you're aiming for? Crap, that worked too well. I was about to be killed by a generic delinquent middle schooler. Ah, you fucking pervert! His words were hurting me, but I could still dodge. Sorry, I was lying, seriously. Lying my ass, you fucking... What kind of language was that? I kind of wanted to learn it. Dodging again, I ran off into the dark mists. Shit, what the hell? Where the hell are you? Fighting wasn't easy in this mist, huh? This was the first time I was actually thankful for it. Where the hell are you, you pog? Yoshitsugu Oribe, don't act so big, you lose sight of what's important. Huh? If you mess up today, you will surely die. Fine by me, shitface. We'll protect Kaori-san then. I don't give a fuck. Leave it to Takumini and Aniki. They won't do. They only think about Yasumisu as a whole. If you want to protect your mother, stop throwing yourself into danger and focus on surviving. Huh? It ain't guaranteed I'd die. I could win. I knew how he felt. I thought the same thing once. But not anymore. I knew it was impossible. That's not going to cut it. See, you could have just gone to this conversation directly. I don't... I mean, I guess... No, you could have definitely gone to this angle immediately. Like, maybe his logic is that he needed to instill the fear of something awful happening to his mother first. But I don't know. That was such a weird angle to come at it from. What are you getting at? What do you know? I already tried it. I didn't expect him to understand, so it was fine. Huh? Anyway, if you die, I might make a move on Kaori-san, so you better stay alive. Don't fucking play it off like that, damn it! What do you mean? Good luck washing the dishes. Hopefully that would convince him. I headed back to my hut before it was too late. I heard footsteps and breathing following me for a while, but when I heard someone trip, I stopped and turned around. Are you okay, Rikako-san? Ow! The area was covered in grass, but that didn't make falling here particularly safe. Why are you out so late anyway? Shouldn't you shelter? I could ask you the same, Haruaki-sama. Why are you wasting time fighting? You already took long enough to do the dishes. Wow. A rare sight from Rikako-san. She was serious, kinda angry, and practically rambling. Well, I was helping someone out. I know. You prevented Yoshitsugu Oribe from making a significant error. In a very lowbrow manner. Why does it feel like you understand the situation better and know more details than usual? I did not get to speak with you, so I hid within the mist. She was shivering, showing how cold she was. Just how long had she been waiting outside the dining hall? Oh, sorry. Yeah, you did say you wanted to talk. So did Shiemi-chan. Thank you for what you did in the feast. Hmm? You could have easily hanged me. Whoa. I don't want anyone to die. Sorry, that was a lie. Wait, no it wasn't, but there was another thing. I just knew I didn't want to see you or Meiko-chan die. What do you mean? Well, I'm not entirely sure myself. Secret talks weren't a good idea. That was why I didn't say anything more. Oh, I have a question for you. Yes? What would you have done if Meiko-chan was a wolf? I would hang alongside her. She was quite a character. Anyway, it's all good. I hope to see more of your clumsiness tomorrow. Haruaki-sama, what are you saying? Me? Clumsy? How rude and... See you tomorrow. What do you mean by, I already tried it? Crap. It's just something random I thought up on the spot. You'd be surprised how convincing mysterious words can be. I do not believe that you were sent here by the Miguruma. In fact, how do I put it? I believe you are a special someone who came here to dispel this mist. You might find such delusions to be disgusting. However, I too am one who grew up alongside tradition and faith. I lived knowing little of the so-called science they speak of on television. Thus, as I am menaced by superstition, I wish to cling to something that seems equally absurd. Rikako-san. I didn't know certain things myself. I also had a thirst for the truth. I couldn't deny that I defy all logic and causality by standing here after experiencing death a few times. Was that meant as a tool to dispel the despair of the feast? Had I been given this power to do that? Was someone telling me to stop this mad ritual no matter how many deaths it took? I had no idea. And because of that, telling her about it would just give her false hope. I'd love to be someone like that, but sadly I'm not all that special. But, well, if someone believes in me that strongly, I feel motivated to do whatever I can. Yes. That's it for today then. What? She extended her hand to me. A handshake? She nodded. Okay, let's promise to meet each other again tomorrow and shake on it. I took her hand. No. She grasped back tightly. Her fingers were slender and cold. Even if we don't meet again tomorrow, let us meet again in a different life. Hopefully, a more peaceful one. She let go. Good night. And goodbye. Rikako-san. She disappeared into the mist. I'll hope for that too! Her footsteps were growing distant. I listened, but it didn't seem like she'd fallen again. I turned around. It had been a long time since I'd heard a goodbye. It looked like I wasn't as prepared for this as I thought. I couldn't just assume I'd loop again if I died. If I did, I'd hardly be standing with the locals who carried the weight of putting their lives on the line. I would give my all to survive this night, and render that cynical promise irrelevant. Then, once everything was solved, I would use her words to tease her. I could just imagine her turning red and squirming. Oh, that'd probably be adorable beyond belief. Inai-san's guardians are. I sung the song I'd learned today to try and distract myself from the feelings that were beginning to sprout inside me. Barely able to see a thing, I wandered back to my hut. I tore off a page from my notepad, put a pen on the floor, and began to think. And I'm gonna go quickly get myself some tea, because I forgot to get myself a drink. Okay. I'm back. Yep. Unfortunately, the only tea I have is the sleepy time sort, but I do need something for my throat. Yeah. What teas do you like, if any? Oh no, he's thinking. I tore off a page from my notepad, but put a pen on the floor and began to think. Alright. Who was I supposed to use my snake powers on? The most natural idea was... Oh, sorry about that. The most natural idea was to investigate the most likely wolf candidate. But there was a problem with that. Namely, no one seemed to fit the bill. If there was anything wolf-like about anyone so far, it would only be some vague signs that barely meant anything. They were nothing but things that start to make sense after everything was known. Even I, with all my knowledge of the previous loop, couldn't tell if anyone was acting weird. Thus, I had to change my line of thinking. I shouldn't have to force myself to find wolves. I had to confirm the identity of those who could be the most dangerous wolves. Thankfully, we already had convenient leader figures, Kanzo-san and Yasunaga-kun, on our side. As things were, it didn't look like they were leading the humans into the wrong direction. I also realized that they'd been holding themselves back the previous loop. Yasunaga hadn't been a proactive leader because he was a wolf, while Kanzo-san probably didn't want to stand out in order to protect himself because he had some sort of guardian like the spider. The one who'd noticed that was none other than Yasunaga-kun. He'd realized Kanzo-san wasn't himself and used it against him. An excellent move on his part. However, we had problems with them being on the same side too. Honestly, they were incompatible. I hoped they'd found common ground soon. That aside, since they were both confirmed monkeys, I had to shift my attention to Takumi Muro-san, who acted as the mediator between the younger and older generations. At first glance, he appeared to be the same as last time, but I couldn't use that to determine whether he was clean or not. Another one I was concerned about was Kyunosuke. He wasn't popular, but he was noisy and had a certain degree of influence. I couldn't ignore him. He could easily derail the feast, which made him a valuable asset. The wolves probably wanted to keep him around until the end. There was another thing, though. He was actually the only one who seemed slightly wolf-like. I had no idea how many were really hesitant about sending people to their death during voting. However, looking at the voting order, they could have easily killed Kyunosuke without even having to make a second vote. Yasunaga-kun voted for him, which was probably calculated. He might have seen the guy as a convenient first sacrifice. Then Kaori-san and Mochi voted for him too. Then it was the village youth's turn. He was wildly unpopular with them, making him a convenient scapegoat for blame. However, he hadn't gotten any more votes from them. What was I supposed to make of that? The wolves knew one another. I knew this from last time, but it was fair to assume that it was common knowledge amongst the others. It might have been possible that there was a wolf among the village youth, and they purposely avoided voting for him. One more thing. From my perspective, since he wanted to protect Rikako-san like me, and would make votes on that basis, he was actually kind of useful to me. Yeah, I had to admit it. I believed Rikako-san and Meiko to be humans. The former was a normal one, while Mako was a spider. I told Mako about it. No need to worry. If you're hesitant, vote for me, not Mako. Rikako-san had been worried that a feast would happen soon, which was why she taught Mako about what she had to do. Mako probably didn't have the mental acuity to understand or participate in the feast all on her own. So Rikako-san might have given Mako some way to convey that she had a guardian. Personal exchanges would be heard by someone, and by extent, the wolves. I was probably even more certain than what I'd experienced on the way back here. It was safe to consider it a rule. However, if there was a way to pass on information without making it seem important, you could easily converse in secret. That was why I believe Rikako-san knew that Mako had a guardian, and was putting her life on the line to protect her. She also conveyed it to me by telling me to vote for her despite Mako being pretty much a throwaway vote. That was her way of telling me that Mako was important. I didn't know if it attracted anyone else's attention, if they'd realized what Mako was. However, most of the locals had probably assumed that Rikako-san was simply worried for the little girl. They'd simply assumed she was fulfilling her role as one who took in the corruption. That was exactly why people would still be voting for them. Mako's role was probably the same as Kanzo's last time, the spider. That was why Rikako-san was going so far to hide it. Anyway, that was why I decided they weren't suspicious. If there was another option, it was Mamiya-san. She'd survived today's feast by saying she hadn't checked for a mark on her stomach. But if she claimed to have a guardian tomorrow, could that be trusted? She had nothing tying her to Yasumisu, so no one would trust her. Whether she was a wolf or human, I couldn't put it past her to fake having a guardian just to keep herself alive. Those three were the prime targets. Oh. Yeah, let's just go down the list. Cause I mean, this feels like it might actually finally be a branching path. But so far it hasn't been. I think I would still choose Takumi because of how much influence he has on people. Like last time, everyone just started falling to him to do a lot of the decision making. And he's well trusted within the community. I wrote down one of their names and placed the paper next to my pillow and went to sleep. I can't read that. Obtained key 10, Truth of the Young Leader. Huh? I wish that had said if it was human or wolf. I was informed of my target's affiliation the same way I was given the Guardian. That was strange, but it clearly happened. I had no choice but to accept it. Anyway, it was something I'd predicted. 50% chance he's throwing game over mod bans him. However, what happened this morning certainly wasn't. Oh! Everyone's alive! Yeah. No one had died last night. I was hoping that maybe in the dialogue they would say... Did I miss something? Now please, eat up. The people in the dining hall were far more cheerful than yesterday morning. It was obvious why. Not one of their neighbors had died. The betrayal they'd been warned about ended up not happening at all. Some were probably even beginning to hope that the traitors, the wolves, didn't exist at all.
Yasu, Fusaishi, see? No one here is dumb enough to play along with something that stupid.
Takumi-san, who put the unity of Yasumiso above all else, was especially cheerful. Well, maybe you're right. Yasunaga-kun made a vague smile. It seemed like he was afraid to kill the good vibes here. I'm gonna guess that they tried to target the person who was protected. Kanzoshi, however, was probably just holding back from doing that. Kinosuke-shi looked like he was on the verge of killing the mood with some of his pessimism. I'm so glad that you're all well. Yes, what a blessing. However, he held his tongue, probably out of consideration for Tae-san and Rikako-san, who were crying in relief. Hey. What? Yoshitsugu-kun, who was washing the dishes with me, called out to me with a stern voice. What the hell? Nothing happened. What do you mean, nothing? We have something pretty amazing going on here. Huh? You'll know more during the feast. That's got soap all over it. Redo. Shut up! Yoshi-kun's helping out. I haven't seen this in years. You shut up, too. Don't cheer me on when you traced on a plate with your finger. Knock it off. Oh, you noticed. I used my lips, though not my finger. It's a chance for an indirect kiss. Yuck! That's so mean! Janie, I'm put off too. What did they teach you while you were away? I thought that one up myself. You really are indecent. What the hell are you doing, Kamoshida? Helping. Like you. Lick, lick, lick. Don't clean with your tongue, damn it. Me too. Stop. There's zero demand for that. The dining hall sure was noisy. Haru-chan even screamed a little. I'll look around again. With those words, Hanzo-san left. And so we ended up spending an uneventful morning in the dining hall together. I wasn't the only one absent-mindedly watching the clock. I wondered if she'd seen anything on her stomach when she'd check. I felt like she was waiting for the feast to start, which made it seem like she had something to declare. When Kanzo-san returned and declared the start of the feast, I felt like there would be trouble. No one was against it when he said it, but it turned out that the trouble was just delayed.
Don't you think it's enough, old man?
Takumi said that instead of drinking from the cup.
What? Why keep this up? The wolves don't want to kill the humans.
Of course he would be the one to suggest that. Just how naive are you? You don't understand the situation at all.
What are you getting at?
No one dies simply because the wolves went for the one who was protected by the spider. That was exactly it. Yasunaga-kun, Haru-chan, and even Tae-chan had turned hostile last time. It was best to assume that those with the wolf's blessing would accept it and begin the murders. The spider couldn't protect themselves, meaning that they could pick 1 out of 14 people. 1/14 is about 7%. I believe we should be thankful for our good fortune and continue using the feast to dispose of the wolves.
So you think the chance that the wolves refuse their job is lower than 7%?
Indeed, I believe it to be 0%.
You really do know something, don't you? What's going on here?
I don't know.
Then why are you so certain?
I merely believe we should be realistic about our situation.
Listen, humans are generally peaceful creatures.
So you believe that humans are intrinsically good?
I don't know much about this stuff. But peace is kept up because it's dangerous to ruin it. As long as it's protected, most people are safe. You know how no one got hanged yesterday. We had wolves with us, right? How'd it turn out that way?
You're being too optimistic. We simply failed to get the correct distribution of votes. They probably split up the vote to protect you.
Everyone stared at Mochi in surprise. What do you mean?
Well, no one voted for Uncle after Yasun, Mommy, Cloudy, and I, right? He just needed 1 more vote, but didn't get it. That makes it seem like the wolves protected one of their own.
So there are wolves among those that came after.
Wait, are you saying I'm a wolf? Hey, I just wanted to mess with Uncle. Sorry.
Mochi had just reached the same conclusion I had. I couldn't tell if he was that sharp, or it was just so simple anyone could figure it out.
I'd appreciate it if you didn't take Chikamochi's casual remarks seriously. But that was a possibility. We can't be too optimistic.
So what? You're gonna hang someone even though no one died?
Someone has already died!
Mamiya-san's sudden shouts attracted everyone's attention.
Or what? Hashimoto-san wasn't a person to you?
Shut up! What happened to him was horrible, but it's not like that was done by one of us.
Why are you so certain?
Because the wolf killings and the corruption are 2 different things.
Akumi-ni-chan, can I have a moment?
What is it?
I don't want to kill anyone, but I am a bit worried. If we were to follow Shinai-sama's rules, the only way for us to fight the wolves is to hang them in the feast. I'm worried that throwing that away would mean the death of us all.
Hey, I just...
That's why people might start to think that anyone suggesting to throw this method away is actually a wolf.
Takumi-san looked around and noticed a chill in the air about him. He noticed that a certain worry had begun mixing with a certain suspicion.
Kanzo-chi-chan.
We're hanging someone today. Refuse that and you're a friend to the wolves.
I don't want to kill anyone either.
Soft, but not as soft as Takumi.
See what I had in mind?
Then what are we supposed to do? We didn't decide who to hang yesterday. You think that's gonna change?
Not everything's the same. The outsider lady and the lunatic probably got something to say.
That's true. Let's hear them out. And if everyone is against killing in spite of what they say, there'd be nothing left for us to do. Right, Kanzo-san?
That ain't happening.
Alright, speak up you two. We won't get anywhere otherwise.
I'll start then.
You sure about that?
I'm the snake.
Huh? Really? You looked and saw the mark?
Yes, I am. That's why I used my power to look into someone.
There was no way.
But isn't that dangerous to reveal now? The snake is extremely important. I'm saying that I found out something that makes up for that. Oh. Okay. What is... But I don't think she's a wolf. At least I'm leaning towards that, because this would be a really stupid move for a wolf to make. But why would she want to accuse her? The only way this might be the only way I could maybe see her being wolf in this is that since there are 3... Now, I was gonna say maybe the angle they're taking is if there are 3, they think it's worth sacrificing one person. Or maybe this is a way to lure out the real snake? I don't know, this is strange. This is a strange move. Maybe she is one. Maybe this is a way of trying to get both the snake to come out and to get rid of one person. Even if it means one of them sacrificing themselves. The mood of the feast suddenly did a complete 180. She's a wolf! Liar! You're the wolf here! They screamed and were about to charge at each other. The others had to hold them back. Bachan, stop! No one's suspecting you! Mamiya-san, stop! This won't help anyone! A strange fervor filled the small hall. I was getting really uncomfortable here. See, because yeah, if he doesn't speak up, then someone innocent's gonna... One of the humans is gonna die and that'll lower their numbers. And she'll be able to just keep doing this. Do we have any others claiming to be the snake? What's that supposed to mean? Please don't shout. If you really are the snake, then keep your cool. The lack of another snake is one of the conditions for us to believe you are the real one. Again, do we have any other snakes? What was my best option here? Since I was the real snake, she was definitely a fake who was clearly talking with ill intent. That meant I had to out myself. Otherwise, she would take control of the situation. That was the right thing to do. The right way to go about it. I knew that well. But I couldn't help but feel that I was in an extremely difficult situation here. Interesting. I kind of wish we knew... I'm feeling stupid because I feel like maybe I read too fast and missed what the revelation for Takumi was. But I kind of wish I knew what that was. Is that... So we're putting a mark on ourselves by doing this. But hopefully in doing this, we'll also get the answer about Takumi-san. And then we'll be able to see what the fuck is really going on with Mamiya. I'm assuming that no matter what we choose, we're still going to go through all the options since we have so many keys we still have left to gather. Now wasn't the time to rely on baseless intuition. If I kept my silence now and tried to come out as the snake later, I couldn't expect my words to hold much weight. It was okay. Given the situation, I was sure I could get people to believe me were Mamiya-san. I'm sorry. At that moment, I became the target of everyone's attention. I felt like they were boring holes in me. I am the snake.
What? So now Fusaishi-san has declared himself to be the snake. Anyone else?
Do you really think a third person will step up?
Honestly, no, but better safe than sorry. Anyone else?
As expected,
no one stepped up.
You're a wolf, aren't you? Can't you all tell? Now second wolf has revealed themselves.
Mamiya-san's outburst was also expected. Or maybe she's just confused about what symbol she's gotten. I don't know. She spent some time ranting afterwards, but piped down after Kanzo-san told her to shut her mouth. Is it safe to assume that one of them is telling the truth? I believe so. Incidentally, who did you investigate with the power of the snake, Fusaishi-san? Oh, there we go. Takumi-san. He's human. Yeah, that's right. I'm a human.
Still, that isn't enough to prove he's innocent.
If he were a wolf, he'd just tell the truth.
Well, yeah, but...
The reception to my claim was rather dicey. There were those who believed me, and those who doubted me from the start and still did. I didn't feel like I'd changed anyone's mind.
What are we supposed to do?
Now's not the time for pessimism. We still have enough to go off to make a decision, so for the time being... We hang the reporter, then the city boy, then Taiba. Well then. Wait, what? A dumbfounded silence dominated the hall for a few seconds as everyone struggled to process what he'd said. Old man, what are you thinking? Wolves must be hanged. Hold on a minute. Evidence aside, it's obvious who the most suspicious one here is, right? You'll get off if you try to judge this with your nature. He wasn't exactly wrong. On the other hand, my nature was suspicious, so it felt there was a strong, unbiased doubt towards me. It wasn't fair to base it on double standards, but the people of Yasumizu would just look at me the same way as Mamiya-san if I complained about that. Let me ask you something, Kanzo Makishima-san. Your logic is based around hanging anyone suspicious, not simply hanging those who claim to have a guardian, right? Otherwise, no one would dare claim to have a guardian after this. If they could prove themselves clean, there wouldn't be a need to hang them, right? But right now... Exactly. Right now, I believe all of us are suspicious. So you shouldn't be jumping to hang the three of us just yet. I agree. I believe that Fusaishi-san and Mamiya-san should try using their guardians again and again. Yasunaga-kun sure was reliable. He jumped to the conclusion I was going to make ahead of time and told everyone, increasing its credibility more than I could have. Hanzo-san didn't look satisfied, but it didn't seem he could find solid grounds to argue. What are we supposed to do, Aniki? Should we vote for the old hag? Quite the opposite. At any rate, since we'll put Fusaishi-san and Mamiya-san aside for now, we'll have to vote for someone else. Someone? I believe we should all decide on one of the investigation targets. I considered that too, but I believe voting for someone else has more merit. I see. You're saying we should take a vote based on everyone's logic, and not a vote based on people who may be covering for one another. Exactly. I'll put it another way so the rest of you understand easier. Starting tomorrow,
Fusaishi-san and Mamiya will investigate their own targets and announce the results. Eventually, they should reach a mutually contradictory outcome. And when that time comes, we can decide which of them to hang. For example, if Taiba really is human, she knows that Mamiya-san is lying, and thus will know she's right to vote for her.
That's right, I know!
But even if Taiba is a wolf, Mamiya-san has already gone out of her way to become her enemy, so Taiba will have to vote against her regardless. In that way, Mamiya-san can restrict her actions. She won't be able to sway the human votes in any way. When you take that into account, Taiba's actions are already restricted, so there's no need for us to rush now. You mean it's more important to prioritize restricting more people's actions in the same way? Right. And eventually, once we determine whether Fusaishi-san or Mamiya-san is lying, we'll review all the results up until then. And if we need to, we'll hang them afterwards. Did any of you get that? Yes.
Yeah. I did.
So what you're saying is to wait for more clues to come out, and vote for anyone who wasn't investigated today. I'm against hanging, but if that's what you're all gonna choose, then I want to go with Yasu's plan. I agree. It is best not to treat those who claim to have guardians too carelessly for now.
But if we manage to eliminate a wolf early on, the rest will feel psychologically cornered and be more likely to slip up.
At the very least, the fact this blockhead's complaining means this is a good idea, isn't it? I wanted to point out how rude that was, but I chose to keep quiet after realizing I wasn't in a position to just speak my mind. Old man. Let's vote already. Hanzo-san probably hadn't changed his mind. But the fact he was letting the vote start meant he wasn't denying that going with Yasunaga's plan was logical. He probably acknowledged that the plan made a certain amount of sense, too. He was just too proud to admit it. It wasn't just the players' power relationships and the rationality/validity of their actions that held influence here. It was also their personalities, preferences, and standing. In that respect, politics were a game, and the Feast of the Yomi Purge was politics, meaning the feast was a game of sorts. Anyway, I wouldn't be gathering any votes for this round, and neither would Mamiya-san. No, wait. Wasn't this bad? Does anyone not want to vote? Takumi-san raised his own hand. Chimi hesitated, but didn't go for it in the end, leaving him all alone. Fine, that's enough. We'll vote who to hang, starting from the head. The voting began with no regard for my concerns.
You.
Me again? What a messed up old timer. I'm voting for the journal lady. As expected, he voted for the most suspicious one there.
I'll vote for you. I don't know about the others, but I know for sure you're a wolf.
Go right ahead. Mamiya-san seemed to have regained some of her ghoul. He really is. Though she already had to vote, she probably could tell she wouldn't get much more after this.
I'm going with Mako again.
Takumi-sama, please, if you're going to vote for Mako, vote for me instead.
You're fishy too, but trying to cover for her makes her even fishier.
If Mako got one more vote, perhaps it would do best to try to lead things in another direction. After all, I knew she was the only one reliable. I'll vote for Rikako-san. More prejudice against the village heads? If this turns out to be the undoing of the people Yasumisu, don't say I didn't warn you. It is all right, Nosato-sama. Who will you vote for? I still think Fusaishi-kun is suspicious, but it's true I want more proof first. So with that in mind, I'll vote for Chiemi Serisawa. Huh? Why me? Because you don't seem to be on anyone's side. First you say we shouldn't hang anyone, then you suddenly forsake Takumi. I see your point. I was trying to do the humane thing first and hesitate, but I guess everyone else has already decided to kill. This is why I hate this crazy village.
Chiemi's cold words filled the hall with an awkward silence. That was proof there were some people out there who knew they couldn't exactly deny what she said. But just as I was wondering how things came to this, I'm voting for Uematsu-san. As for why, it's because of that big act she put on yesterday when she asked to be voted for. I believe she was trying to copy Chieni without even thinking it through, and failed.
You'd vote for her just because you found that unnatural?
It is quite all right.
No, it isn't! You should value your life a little more, Rikako-san!
Why should it matter? I am all that is left of the Uematsu, and there are those who wish me dead. No one will miss me. If I have a chance to throw my life away, I wish to take it.
Wow, that was cool, Richan. I could never go that far. Anyway, my turn. You're up, Uncle. Fly like a bird.
What the hell is that supposed to mean? The vote was all over the place. Currently, Mamiya-san and Rikako-san were sitting at the top with 2 votes each, while Mako, Chiemi, and Kyonosuke and I had 1 each. But just when it came to me, it was the youth's turn to vote. I ain't doing this because of what Kamoshida said or nothing, but I'm voting for the Nosato blockhead. We don't need no village heads here.
I wouldn't go that far, but since you voted for me, I have no objections voting for you, Nosato-san. That's my vote.
Why you?
I'm fine with Nosato-san too. We don't need you anymore.
With a surge of 4 consecutive votes, Kyonosuke had taken the lead. There were just 4 left, including me. I vote for myself. So you're sticking to that, are you? You do realize it's unlikely you'll die today. No, I do not believe Nosato-sama should die.
Rikako-san, no, but that doesn't mean you should die in my stead. The old man.
What?
Mako, Makishima-sama is no wolf.
Then the other old man.
Huh?
Old man.
What was up with this vote? Kyonosuke had 4 votes, while Rikako-san had 3. My options were to either co-sign Kyonosuke to his fate, throw Rikako-san into danger, or vote for someone else entirely and leave Mamiya-san to deal with that dilemma. In other words, leaving it up to a confirmed liar. No, I couldn't. I was confident that I had interpreted Rikako-san's actions correctly. So I vote for Kyonosuke no Sato-san. I'm sorry. I don't believe you're a wolf, it's just... Mamiya-san was the only other one with 2 votes. Even if I voted for her, there was no way she'd vote for herself, so trying to pit Kyonosuke against her would be pointless. However, I knew telling him that wouldn't do him any good. I can't afford to lose Rikako-san. I knew those words were probably the last thing he wanted to hear. Still, I couldn't let that excuse, that reason, go unsaid. Not when he could understand it too. I see. That made 5 votes. Morally, everyone understood it was the humans who deserved to survive, not the wolves. But in the end, Kyonosuke had been unable to prove his life held more meaning than a wolf who would reveal useful information while still alive. Damn. I vote for Uematsu-san. I believe her actions are unnatural. Bring the rope. Shinai-san's guardians are... We passed through the mist and walked towards the graveyard. 5 prepare for the feast when the evening mists arrive. Everyone was singing prayer to Shinai. Shinai-san's guardians are... I couldn't tell who had started it, or when they did so. 8. Death of the damned Yomi Beetle is the mandate. The sobbing, mixed with singing, made it seem like an old funeral, but it was actually an execution. Painfully, slowly, we walked through the path leading to the cliff next to Saranaga. I was already used to this thanks to all the cleanups. 7. The corrupt Yomi Beetle rise to oppose the mountain. Before I knew it, even Mamiya-san and I had joined the singing, creating a perfect unity in the group. Eventually, we reached our destination. It was downhill, beyond the trees, wet with dew, and a grass-filled field covered in stones marking the lives of those who used to live here. Strangely enough, the aged pine tree right at the end could be seen easily despite the mist. As we stopped, so did the song and emotion. No Sato-sama, forgive me for my powerlessness. There's nothing to forgive. He gave me a glance. You have to protect Rikako-san. That was all he said. I understand. I didn't actually want to say that. It didn't sound like he simply meant to protect her for the rest of the feast when he said that. But the survivors had the obligations to honor the dead's last wishes. Are you sure of this? Yes, to have you push my back has been a long-cherished ambition of mine. Rise not. Rise not. And then... Kyonosuke no Sato's body fell to the bottom of the misty cliff, and the hanging rope stopped due to the fatal impact. He let out a horrifying death wail. Afterwards, we all returned to the dining hall where Kaori-san and I served a light lunch while time passed by. Everyone tried to act as normal as possible. They tried to convince themselves that Kyonosuke-shi shouldn't have been in Yasumizu in the first place, so his absence was only natural. However, it was clear they felt guilty for committing murder. Killing someone no one liked and talking as though none of it had ever happened was a horrible group mentality. But that was the truth of the feast of the Yomi Purge. It was kill or be killed, and unfortunately, it was next to impossible to finish the feast without wasting a life. I chatted away with the others with those thoughts in mind as a certain concern ate away at me. As much as I felt bad about it, I didn't kill Kyonosuke-shi. Had I made the wrong move in the end? Hadn't I let someone else who should have been purged live so I could save myself? No, that didn't mean this was a failure. There was a high chance my fears were unfounded. I was overthinking things. I knew I was, but for some reason, I felt the presence of beasts. I couldn't help but feel that. Who knows? I'm not good at reasons, but, well, when Takumi-ni said he was the snake, I had a bad feeling come over me. Oh, it felt like I could hear the wolves laughing. I felt like I now understood that feeling. Had I fallen right into their trap? That worry plagued me all the way through dinner and bedtime. If Hisako Mamiya's false declaration was a suicidal attack meant to weed out the real snake, then there was a chance she'd be coming for me, despite knowing she'd be the prime suspect for sure the next day. In that case, which of the two snakes would the spider protect? Right now, there were two self-proclaimed snakes. Could I have tried to crush Hisako Mamiya, even if it meant getting a little too desperate and being suspected by the others as a result? No, it was okay. I was right about Meiko being the spider and Rikako-san controlling her. Then Rikako-san would surely protect me. If it was between Mamiya-san and I, she'd definitely choose me. Those thoughts bounced back and forth from lunch. All the way until I drowsily wrote someone's name down and put it under my pillow. We don't get to choose. Feel like that means we're gonna die. And then I lost consciousness. Yep. In the end, I never woke up. Guess that figures. After all, only the spiders themselves knew what they were thinking. The wolves must have aimed their claws at me, taking the risk that the spider hadn't chosen me. And they'd won their bet. So that was that. I couldn't even tell if that was what I thought when I died. It was all so vague. I lay there in a comatose slumber. It was there that my life met its end and faded into the mist that covered all. Did we get a key? No. Oh, we didn't get a key for that one. Spider through. Okay. The question is, do we want to go back to the revelation? Or do we choose to reveal ourselves? Or do we want to go... We'll go back to holding our tongue. I didn't find it reasonable whatsoever, but I decided to keep quiet. Then let us continue under the assumption that Hisako Mamiya-san is the real snake. What do you mean, assumption? If there's a reason to doubt you, it would be, as Cheney pointed out, your belligerence. You were so calm all this time. What happened? How can I stay calm in a situation like this? I woke up to blood text on my stomach. It's a supernatural phenomenon. And now I use it to find out that one of us here is acting all innocent. There's no way I can stay calm.
You liar! This is why you youngins from the city are just...
What did the others think about this exchange? You're saying the old hag's a wolf? Yes! How many times do I have to say it? Old hag, you better think of a good answer to this. Are you a wolf?
Yoshitsugu, you fool! That's it! The youngins are all Yobibito!
Eh? Alright, that's enough.
Taiba, don't say that! And Yoshi, why are you provoking her?
She voted for me yesterday and I almost died because of it. That's just shady. Yoshitsugu, you better cut it out. And what's up with you, you lady? And why are you shrieking and cornering an old woman like that? You wouldn't understand. Oh, this is awful. Crap. Hey, people, cool off for a sec. There's not much space here, but let's sit as far away from each other as you can and calm down. Isn't that alright with you, old man? Mm-hmm. Old man Makishima looked around the circle. Settle down or you're getting punched. That was enough to bring absolute silence to the room. However, that made certain negative emotions stand out. They came out as throats clearing, tongue clicks, or sighs among other things. Still, the silence helped people cool off, or at least it helped me. For better or worse, I knew for certain that she was a fake. And right now, I had to act accordingly. But I didn't really know what that entailed. To declare that she was a fake snake, I had to declare I was the real one. However, that meant making myself a target for the wolves. What would I do then? There would be two possible snakes, Hisako Mamiya and I doubted we would be hanged right then and there. They would probably have us investigate someone and see who was telling the truth. But I would probably be killed during that process. The Yomi team was using Mamiya-san as bait to draw out the real snake. That was the most likely scenario. However, that felt kind of unnatural, though. Why did Mamiya-san claim the role? She was an outsider who had no affinity for the old stories or loyalty for the village. Drawing attention to herself like that was a dangerous move. It was even worse for her since she'd come out as a snake before anyone died, meaning there was absolutely no chance the real snake was out of the game. Then, perhaps it meant that she was a wolf or the badger? Enough! After 30 minutes, Kanzo-san resumed the feast. Uematsu, we're voting. What?
Kan-chan, I'm human.
You're a wolf.
You again!
Kanzo-san, before we vote, there's something I'd like to hear. Haruaki Fusaishi-san said he would have some new information for us. So he remembered. However, I decided not to reveal that I was the snake this time. It might have helped the humans, but I felt I had to keep it hidden to ensure my own survival. Thus, I had to think of some nonsense. We were giving a lot of time though, so I already had more than enough ready. First of all, I still don't have enough information to prove my innocence, unfortunately. That means I'm less capable of contributing than Mamiya-san, and I would like to make up for that.
Can I assume that means you don't have a guardian?
Seems like the obvious assumption. Say it clear. I have no special powers. With those words, I was also a liar. However, if you let me live, I will do what I can to help you all. You said that yesterday. Unlike the first time, Hanzo-san seemed kind of interested in what I had to say. Of course, he'd probably throw me out the moment he felt I overstepped myself. I can provide you with strategic advice. Like, don't hang at Tai-san or Mamiya-san. Huh? If Tai Yamawaki was a wolf, I doubt she is the brain behind their tactics, damn!
I said I'm no wolf!
That's a what if. Now if Mamiya-san isn't the snake... Of course I am! No one else came out! Now I'd like to ask something. To actively survive this game... Sorry, I mean the feast. The wolves have to pretend to have guardians, right? Yes. The wolves generally stay passive and lay low to avoid raising suspicion, but that eventually tips them off to the snake. Once suspicions are raised, simply claiming to be human is no longer good enough. Declaring yourself to have a guardian at that moment would seem like a lie too, which is why doing it at random is far more effective. If you claim to have a guardian first, then anyone that came after would seem like the liar. What's your basis for that? I'm being objective. That's why it's not certain that you are the snake. If you really are a fake, it means the other two wolves have already cut you off. Don't just go off talking like that. What's that supposed to mean? While you're making a mess of the feast in the front lines, the other wolves are doing work on their own. It probably wouldn't have been your idea in that case, and they're using your distraction to avoid drawing suspicion to themselves. That's why, if we can ignore you as you make a mess of things, it means you wouldn't be as dangerous as the wolves still hiding. That's nonsense. I'm the real snake.
Hey, that kind of confirms that you're a wolf.
Huh? You noticed something, Mochi.
Well, look at her reaction to what you just said. She probably was irritated because she didn't understand her own position. If she wasn't a wolf, she wouldn't have paid any attention to it.
I can't ignore any words in this situation, can I?
What's gotten into you, Mochi? It's just a thought, but honestly, I agree with Yasun. We should keep her around and see how she works. Listen, saying that kind of stuff can place suspicions on yourself. But I'm just weird. Don't blame it on me. Try to speak for the human's sake, not just your own. If Mamiya-san got hanged, it'd be partially your fault.
Oh no, I got scolded. Oh no.
Anyway, if we're not hanging Taiba-chan or Mamiya-san, are we going with Takumi-ni-chan's idea and not hanging anyone at all?
That'd be meaningless. If we didn't lower the number of suspects, it'd be a waste of the free day the spider gave us. If hanging really is in our best interest, I'll just say one thing. I believe in Ba-chan. I think she wouldn't kill even if she became a wolf. Well, that just wasn't true. And that's why I'll protect her.
You really are a good boy.
What about you, Kaori-san? You haven't said a thing this whole time. Well... And you, wolf guy?
The wolf is coming.
Forget it. Old man, what do we do? Hang Taiba and the journalist. Huh? For a moment we were so dumbfounded that the room was filled with utter silence. But why?
Wolves gotta hang.
That's true, but one of them's human.
We need sacrifices to be sure. That's how it always was.
He then got up, which made him seem larger than usual.
Taiba, get ready. I knew you for 60 years. You love Yasumisu more than anyone else. Won't you put yourself on the line for its sake?
His voice was as blunt as always, not changing his expression at all. He pushed an old acquaintance into what could be her death. It didn't matter to him if the person was friend or family. He had his own line of thinking and clearly knew what had to be done. Friend or outsider meant nothing in the face of the situation. There was no room for hesitation or mercy.
Will you and Takumi look after my remains?
Mm.
And his kind of madness was shared by everyone in Yasumisu.
Pa-chan, please. I don't wanna.
Takumi, I'm not a wolf. If you believe that, vote for the woman. If I still get hanged, then it must be the will of Shinai-sama.
All right, Uematsu,
Yes.
we vote.
Yasunaga-kun was looking at the floor with a pale visage. I probably didn't look all that different from him. The silent alliance he and I had made was crushed by Kanzo-san. It was a moment of defeat for us. The old man's words quickly ended the battle between reason and tradition. Was there any way for us to resist it? Like yesterday, the voting began with the old wolf guy.
You wolf! Ow!
He acted the same way as before, but the one he pointed at this time wasn't me, but Tai-san.
You too! You are cursed!
Did he even understand the situation?
I'm voting for the journalist.
Of course he would.
Me too.
For Mamiya-san.
Yes!
I'm voting for you, journal lady.
I knew you would! The votes so far were about what you'd expect.
Kaori-san, you're next.
Kaori-san's the one I'm most suspicious of. Her position in all this was strange. Though she was an adult, she tended to listen to Yasunaga-kun and ask for his opinion often. I had no idea who she would vote for, but I soon found out. I never could have guessed it.
Oh.
One for Takumi Muro-san. Naturally, that shocked everyone.
Kaori-san, why?
Some of this is too complicated for me. But I'm prepared to, if need be, suspect the one I didn't want to suspect at all. That's how I'm throwing away my vote. I hope you understand that too.
So you don't think I'm a wolf, but you're voting for me to make me snap out of it.
There's no proof that you aren't a wolf, and I don't believe you are doing what you must, Takumi-san.
What are you talking about? What the hell? I don't get it.
Kaori-san didn't change her vote, and Takumi-san ended up actually getting one. My turn. How complicated. Next up was Kinosuke-shi, who'd had little presence today.
Well, it's reasonable to hang both of them. I believe we are undervaluing the one claiming to be the snake. I shall vote for Muro.
You too.
You'd be even more mad if I voted for Lady Yamawaki. Also, I changed my opinion of the newcomer a bit.
Me?
Yes, I have nothing more to say, though.
Did he realize? Just like yesterday, I'm voting for Nosato-san. My reasoning is the same as yesterday. But now I would like to state that I wish to see how Mamiya-san acts going forward. By the way, why did you choose Taya-san as your target? I didn't know what to do, so I just wrote out whoever came to mind. So you picked Taiba randomly. I see. That's all from me. What is all this? I'm adding a vote to Uncle. Again, Chikamochi? I do think that the Mamiya lady is a wolf. But if Yasun lets us see what she does, I'll play along with that. And thanks, Mochi. I'm not changing my opinion. One vote for the old hag.
You corrupt little...
My turn, huh? Sorry, Mamiya-san. I'm voting for you.
Why? I'm the snake!
I mean, you weren't like this yesterday. What's with the change? Wait, you might be the badger Haruaki-san talked about.
Her words caused a stir, but not a big one. They didn't seem to understand. The badger talk from yesterday didn't stay in their minds, it seemed.
If you are, please say so. Badgers are humans, so they don't have to die.
I'm not. I'm the snake. Chiemi.
Takumi-chan, I'm not taking your side here. I was actually thinking about voting for Taiba-chan.
Ie-chan, you too?
What? Why?
Because I can't just take sides here. You understand that too, don't you? You want to kill Mamiya-san just because you like Taiba-chan. That's not like you at all. I just hoped it would bother you the way it does the rest of us. Sorry I'm like this. You too, Ba-chan and Mamiya-san. I won't blame you if you hate me. That's all from me.
Next. Who are you picking, Haru?
I guess I'll choose Nosato-san too.
Why am I always put in danger because of childish whims?
He sure had an unfortunate role this time.
Uematsu's next.
I shall vote for Yamawaki-sama.
Uematsu-sama.
We cannot undervalue claiming to be the snake. I am sorry. If Mamiya-san turns out to be pretending to have a guardian, I will deliver due punishment.
Very well. I understand.
Mako, who will you pick?
Oh gosh, she's probably gonna go for Tai since
Mikako chose her.
Oba-chan.
even the brat hates you.
I don't care about being hated by a Saranaga child.
Haruaki-sama. What was I supposed to do? Mamiya-san was tied with Taya-san at 4 votes, while Kinosuke had 3, and Takumi-san had 2. It was Mamiya-san's turn right after mine. She'd definitely vote for Taya-san, meaning that she'd effectively have 5 votes. If I voted for Mamiya-san, I would bring it to the final vote, but if I voted for Taya-san, she would definitely be hanged. Were those my only choices here? Would a vote condemning someone to death really be meaningful? A vote for Kinosuke was bound to be pointless. I couldn't use it as a message of any kind, and it wouldn't be a good way to repay him for avoiding picking me. What if I voted for that guy over there, though? So here's a thing. I do think there's a strong chance she's a badger. Which means that if we hang her right now, and the crow uses their power and sees that he's a human, then everyone is going to believe that she was, in fact, the snake, since not everyone is on board with the badger theory. And then they're going to immediately kill Taiba for that. And we wouldn't really be able to come out as the snake after that. So I think voting for Hisako is dangerous, but as usual, I'm just playing these games and going down the line and picking everything. But I just wanted to give my thoughts on that. I should leave this up to a final vote. Now, I wanted to see what Mamiya-san would do if it was between someone I knew was a human and a wolf. It was the wolf who should die. I explained my reasons to Mamiya-san. As expected, Mamiya-san threw a fit, practically foaming at the mouth, and voted for Tai-san. Now we were in the final vote.
You, old lady.
I vote for the journal lady.
Yeah, same here.
If that's your decision, then I believe I shall vote for Mamiya-san as well.
Well, if I had to say, I believe Mamiya-san is more suspicious, but I'm curious as to what she would do, so I vote for Yamawaki-san.
It was 2-3 with Mamiya in the lead. Now it is up to the village youth.
I'm curious as to why Nosato-san would want to protect her. 1 vote for Mamiya-san.
2-4.
So that's your play, Yasun. I'm voting for Taiba. I'm curious to see what this lady will do tomorrow.
3-4. I'm voting for the journal lady. She's fisher than the old hag.
3-5.
I'm voting for Taiba-chan. They both flipped out, so they're both fishy though.
4-5.
I guess I'll vote for Mamiya-san.
4-6.
I believe we shouldn't mistreat those who claim to have guardians. My apologies. Tai Yamawaki-sama.
5-6.
I can only vote for one of them? The old lady.
6-6. Did Mako even have a clear target? Everyone's eyes were focused on me. My vote would decide it all. Being an outsider just like her, I could sympathize deeply with Mamiya-san. Her stories were very interesting. She was pretty, and if it weren't for all this, I could see myself getting on pretty well with her. Much more than Tai-san, sad as it was to say. However, the rationality of the Feast of the Yomi Purge did not allow me to choose her. I'll vote for Mamiya-san. And then it happened. Mamiya-san darted off with a scream as she made a break for the exit, nearly tripping on her own feet.
After her!
Wait the fuck up! How?
Let me go! Bring the rope! Hurry!
Right here.
Stop!
How would I feel in Mamiya-san's shoes? She'd been bound and gagged, having her freedom and right to speech stolen from her. To her, she was a foreigner who'd been hunted down and cornered by a community rooted in strange traditions. An absurdly irrational ending where she'd been punished for rules she didn't agree with one bit. Were it not for the looping in my past knowledge, I'd probably be thinking along the same lines. But from the way she was acting, it didn't look like she'd come up with the idea to play a fake snake on her own. Had the other wolves pressured her into it? In that case, there were wolves among us who'd driven her to her death and were playing dumb. Shinai-san's guardians are... Yeah, you've read all this. Everyone dragged Hisako Mamiya, bound head to toe along with them. 7, the corrupt Yumi beetle rise to oppose the mountain. Eventually, we reached our destination. It was downhill, beyond the trees wet with dew, in a grass field covered in stones, marking the lives of those who used to live here. Strangely enough, the aged pine tree right at the end could be seen easily despite the mist. As we stopped, so did the song and emotion. Mamiya-san struggled against her bonds to the bitter end, but was unable to escape them. And so Kanzo-san tied the rope around her neck and threw her down the misty valley. Right after she landed, we heard a disturbing crunching noise instead of a death wail. Her cervical vertebrae had been damaged when she'd been hung, so her death had practically been instant. I hope she hadn't suffered long, at least. All I felt was pity, fringing on heartlessness towards a fellow outsider who'd been caught up in all this. Afterwards, we all returned to the dining hall. Let's see if this is the same.
Don't worry too much, Fusaishi.
Takumi-san comforted me. I must have looked guilty.
He's right. You just happened to get the final vote, that's all. It was what we all decided. No matter what you picked, it wouldn't have helped. You voted for me, Chi-chan. Yeah, sorry, but I couldn't vote for both of you. I'm sorry, Taiba-chan. I understand if you can't forgive me. It's all right. That's the feast.
A reconciliation. Normally, that'd be cause for celebration. But what would happen tomorrow? Anyway, I'd thrown away my chance to reveal I was the snake and chose to keep it hidden. So long as I was, I had to avoid fatal situations and keep hiding my identity until a more favorable opportunity presented itself. But when would that be? When would a better opportunity than this feast occur? Was there anyone I trusted who I could share my secrets, meet with, and take on the feast with all in one day? That seemed like my only option. I grappled with those unsatisfied thoughts as dinner ended and I returned to my hut. Murder really didn't pay, even in this situation, even when I could loop. Actually, no. It was because I could loop that I could keep these memories of being a murderer and move on to the next time if I screwed up. I took her life. I would take this extremely reviling and terrifying taste of omnipotence with me to the grave. It didn't feel good to know I could be bound by my experience. I remember those thoughts running through my head as I absent-mindedly wrote someone's name down and put it under my pillow. Oh. And then I lost consciousness and never woke up. Why had the wolves chosen this point to go after me? I couldn't understand it. I'd even refrained from revealing my guardian to avoid drawing suspicion. In that case, I must have already been pretty high on the wolves' hit list. And my actions today had crossed some line? Or maybe they had already decided to kill me today and that had nothing to do with it. I didn't know. It was pointless to think about. That was how the feast of the Yomi Purge was. No matter how much logic I tried to apply, it could all come crashing down on a whim. No, perhaps logic wasn't even all that important in the feast. Though I'd already died, I felt like those bitter thoughts continued even after.
Alright. Let's see. So now... Hmm. Wait, was there something down here that we missed? Oh, right, Takumi. Voting for Takumi. Hello, Ziti. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for coming. Alright. Let's see what happens if we do... I don't... I'm voting for Takumi-san. Nobody seemed to have expected my declaration. The room was filled with commotion, and I could hear some of them whispering. It was mostly along the lines of, what is he thinking, or, I guess we know who we're hanging. This was a strange and heavy-handed way to go about this. However, I felt like it could lead to me gaining Takumi-san's favor. I had my doubts, though. It was a serious gamble. However, I also had a feeling that if I chose anything else, I wouldn't survive the night. Oh, okay. What's this about, Fusaishi? Hope I made the chores easier to go through. I had to carefully phrase my response here. Settling on words to use, I said, I want to protect you. He did show some confusion, but the more pronounced emotion by far was anger. Pure rage. After all, by not voting for Mamiya-san, I just condemned Tai-san to death. You're doing the same thing as Kaori-san and Jamie. And that's all I have to say. The hell? I couldn't say too much. My goal here was actually just to make him feel like something was up. That was why I had to end this feast with words that stayed in his mind. Well, I probably had to prepare for a punch or two. It was an awkward moment, but I stayed silent. My turn. You know by now, but I'm voting for Yamawaki-san. Aww. It's decided. With those words, everyone stood up like it was rehearsed. Hisako-san and I were a bit behind them in that regard. Then I saw the villagers' faces, which seemed different from before. Uematsu, the rope. Yes. Takumi, pour some sake for Taiba. Ba-chan.
You were a naughty child ever since you were small. You never changed your mind about what you thought was right, but you were always gentle, and that hasn't changed. But you still grew up to be so big. Yoshiko-san must be proud.
I always thought of you as my real grandma. You were like a real family to me.
Don't cry. We'll meet again at the home of Shinai-sama.
The old lady smiled and drank her sake. Then the rope was placed over her shoulders. I shall tighten it now.
Do it.
Mikako-san twined the rope around her twice and tied her hands behind her back. It was simple but necessary. The process continued. The dimly lit hall was filled with dark emotions. Lament, chagrin, and gloom was heard in every sob,
whimper, and movement. I felt like I was watching a family grieve for an elder dying a peaceful death. Hisako Mamiya silently mouthed the words, "You're insane." I shared that sentiment wholeheartedly.
Got any last words, Taiba?
No birds could be heard, and the wind was still. Perfect silence surrounded us as Kanzo-san did the job.
I'm not thinking of coming back from the dead, but I don't know what kind of place I'll find there. Honestly, I'm afraid. It is for the sake of Yasumisu. I curse you, woman!
Her voice was crystal clear, and now bore an unmistakable hatred. Mamiya-san remained silent, and everyone aware of what was about to happen, prepared for the final process.
You know, the thought just entered my mind that maybe Tai-san is a wolf this time around as well, and maybe Mamiya-san witnessed something, but she thinks the only way that she would be able to convince people, since it would be the word of Tai-san against an outsider, would be to pretend to be the snake. Just a thought. I don't know. I mean, it's very unlikely, since I'm not sure how she would have been able to witness something, since she would have had to be sheltered. But that idea just popped into my head. But so far, I'm still leading sort of to the badger, because I guess I'm just confused as to why the wolves would betray their own. It's unless it's that since she's an outsider, she's not as affected by everything that's going on as actual residents of Yasumisu. I don't know. To be honest, there's still a lot of stuff I'm confused about in terms of how this all works.
Mamiya-san remained silent, and everyone aware of what was about to happen prepared for the final process.
You could say that this is the heart of our religion. The graveyard of the hanging pine.
I knew this was an important place for them, but I didn't know anything else. However, I did feel like they were acting with absolute precision, like they were meticulously rehearsed actors in a stage play. Two of them coiled a rope around the pine's large trunk, leaning it out towards the cliff, while another one skillfully made a noose out of the other end. Kanzo-san took it in hand and looped it over Tai-san's neck.
So the snake is able to, put someone's name when they go to sleep, like write it down, and the next day they will know if someone is a wolf or a human. Then you have the crow, who after someone is hanged, is able to tell if that person was a wolf or a human. Then you have the two monkeys who know that the other is a monkey. So they can't do any special thing, but they're useful in order to be able to confirm that the two of them are humans. And then there's the spider, who is able to choose one person at night to protect. And if the wolves try to go after that person, then they lose their ability to kill for that night. And now, Fusaishi has brought up the idea of the badger, which is mentioned in the song. And he thinks that the badger is someone who is choosing on the second day a human, and that human is sort of manipulated or in some way fated to betray the other humans, even though they still will die. And presumably, if they get investigated in any way, they will still appear as a human. And most people in the village aren't sold on the idea of a badger role. Kanzo-san took it in hand and looped it over Tai-san's neck.
Rise not.
Rise not.
It was the first time I'd heard those words. They were probably a final goodbye and a signal. Yeah, the badger is something that was just introduced as a possibility pretty much at the very beginning of the stream, at the very tail end. And it's just an idea that Usaishi has. But it does make sense considering that is kind of what happened with Haru, the last loop. The things that I'm still confused about is how this influence works. Last time the wolves were Tai-san and Yasunaga. And I don't know, it just feels so strange. So they're compelled to still do the killing even if they don't want to. But I don't know, Yasunaga and Tai-san didn't exactly look upset about what they had done last round. And sometimes they talk about it as being that they get killed and replaced, but then they still talk about this compelling nature. It's very confusing to me. And it's very... yeah. And with that, the old lady's small frame went over the cliff. A second later, the rope went taut. At the same time, an inhuman sound came from the mist down below. After a long silence, the song was sung again, and it was obvious who started it this time. After repeating the song a dozen or so times, Hanzo-san walked up to the pine and cut the rope with a sickle he had in hand. Was there a sound of her falling down? If there was, I couldn't hear it. Not saying a word, we all returned to the plaza. Everyone seemed to feel like we'd done something that could not be undone. We'd passed a point of no return. No, that probably wasn't right. The point of no return was passed a long time ago. This just made us realize it. Even then, I didn't know if anyone besides Mamiya-san and I felt it. The villagers might have begun feeling like this was the very moment the mist came. I thought about that long and hard. It made me feel something like remorse or powerlessness, both of which were unproductive emotions that really dulled your thoughts. The locals, however, seemed to feel differently. They did look like they were in a state of emotional numbness, but it seemed to be a result of something other than shock or a sense of loss. It was something more unnatural. They seemed like empty husks. I had a thought once. That the real problem wasn't the monster, but the state of being.
Oribe,
Yes,
make food.
understood.
Stay in the dining hall. I'll look around. You stay too. There ain't nothing dangerous in the mist. Besides us, anyway. I'll be back for food. I'm going back home.
Takumi!
I won't die. Geez, I've walked that path 1,000 times. If anything kills me, it'll be a bullet from your gun.
With that as his parting shot, Takumi-san left.
The rest of you stay here.
And so, Hanzo-san left too. He had no intention of playing along. He planned to resolve the feast with his own 2 hands to the very end. He was even capable of convincing Tai-san to accept death. As long as he was alive, he would continue to command the humans as a strong but harsh leader. However, I felt like I'd seen his tough facade crack. Only a little. Just now. Probably for the first time ever. Though Takumi-san was considered to be the local young leader figure, Kanzo-san seemed to constantly underestimate him, thinking him too soft. The softness in this case was simply common sense and consideration. Useful things in any other situation. Looking at it from that angle, that supposed softness now seemed conspicuously absent. Tai-san's death had changed something in Takumi-san, and it wasn't yet clear if it was for the better. Overcome by awkwardness, we barely talked, simply watching time go by. I had brief chats with Kaori-san and helped her prepare the food. She seemed to be composed and took it very seriously. No meat. We don't practice asceticism here. Let's eat normally. Every line spoken felt like a secret chat between partners in crime. It felt really weird. I knew full well we'd done something inexcusable. Despite that, I wasn't feeling the normal amount of shock and guilt. Perhaps because the moment Tai Yamawaki died was neatly cordoned off from everyday life. The song, the farewell, all of it might have been ways of separating the event from their daily lives. It seemed like know-how they had to slightly lower the emotional burden from killing one of them. Did they think it up naturally? Or did they remember it?
Done.
Yes, just now. Soon enough, we gave out the now familiar veggie and shishinare soup, along with some rice. Oddly enough, everyone still had their appetite. However, since Takumi-san hadn't returned, we ended up eating with one person unaccounted for. And not just him. There was one more empty seat that had been occupied this very morning. Shit. What the hell was this? Hey, Hassan. It felt like it'd been a long time since someone called out to me. The others likely felt the same, which was probably why it attracted some attention. What? Taiba's gone. What was he getting at? Was he trying to get me to talk about it? Yeah. Unfortunate. Is it? You could have protected her, right?
Stop it, Mochi. From Haruaki-san's perspective, Taiba-chan was as shady as Mamiya-san.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to vote for either of them. The people who voted before me were the ones who left me without any other options.
Not us, though. I don't see why you chose to vote for me, though.
It's fine. You're a good dumping ground for votes. And it's not like everyone suspects you yet.
You're saying that as if you do.
Yeah, right now I think that the journo, you, and Hassan are the wolves. I wasn't the only one who jumped. Everyone looked at Mochi and I. Oh man, I know I messed up a bit here and there, but I didn't think that even you didn't trust me. Sorry, it's not about trust. I don't really care about that. I just wanted to know how the wolves were feeling. They can stay up late and do anything, even kill. It sounds great. I'm actually jealous. Mochi, leave it at that. We don't have proof that Mamiya-san is a fake. Yasunaga-kun stopped him because he noticed how strained Mamiya-san's expression was. However, he said that while looking at Kanzo-san, making it very clear who was in charge here.
Chikamochi, come here.
I don't wanna.
Come over.
Mochi tried to ignore him, but the pressure got to him. He slowly got up and walked over to Kanzo-san. The old man just slapped the cross-dressing boy. Don't like that phrasing. His light body collapsed on a table, and the one to soften his fall was...
You okay?
Wow, what about you? You're all bones, right? Those two sure got along well.
Violence isn't the answer.
A little late for that, don't you think, you senile fool? We don't talk about the feast outside the feast. Everyone knows that. Stop it, Chikamochi.
Alright, Journal Lady Hassan. Sorry about that. He didn't have any ill intent, did he? He was probably as eccentric as he was because he was exceptionally observant, but had poor social intelligence. I don't mind. I can't blame you, really. But I had no idea how to help out Mamiya-san. She was so tense she could burst at any moment. Mamiya-sama, I do not believe that both of you must be hanged.
Uematsu.
I apologize, but there's something important that I forgot to ask. Please allow me to talk about the feast for a moment. Mamiya-sama, who do you intend to use your guardian's power on tonight? That's up to me, isn't it? No. Shinai-sama gave the guardians for the humans' sake. You must use it with us in mind.
Right. Who should I investigate then?
Yasunaga Oribe-sama. What do you think? Me. Personally, I'd like to clear up all suspicions regarding Nosato-san.
I would appreciate that.
He had a high chance of being both a candidate for the hanging and the snake's investigation, so Yasunaga-kun probably wanted him to stop being a safe retreat for votes. However, Mamiya-san was a fake. I was tempted to reveal that, but had to restrain myself. Alright, I'll look into Nosato-san. Then, I'd also like the spider to protect me, though. That wouldn't do.
Why?
If we decided that here, the wolves would simply go for someone else. Spider already saved one person. That alone is impressive enough to leave it to them again. I see. That's true. Uematsu, is that it? Yes. Sorry for being too forward, Makishima-sama.
I'm going out again.
Kanzo-ji-chan, being here for too long is uncomfortable. Can we walk around?
Better than dying.
He had a point. The positions and roles were completely different from last time, but I felt like people would die if we split up.
Watch out for Takumi.
He uttered those curt words and walked out.
Yeah, he's taking Ba-chan's death pretty hard.
The big guy's a softie.
Yoshitsugu, come here.
What do you want?
We'll be upstairs, Mom. Wait, I'll go with you. Huh? Kusaishi-san, can you take care of things here? Of course. The Oribes went upstairs, leaving the dining hall with just two of the students, Kinosuke-shi, the old wolf guy, Jamie, Rikako-san, Meiko, and Mamiya-san. Myself included, that was 9 people. A few numbers away from the total.
What a pain.
I share the sentiment.
How long will this go on?
The mood softened up, and everyone finally began speaking their mind.
Hassan, you a wolf?
No.
Got a guardian?
Who knows? Wait, we're not supposed to talk about it, right?
That's just old people talk. If you ask me, this is something we should be discussing all day long. Mochi, do you know something?
Is he good at deduction or something?
Mochi, what do I do? He just talked to me. Get used to him already. He won't bite.
Go on.
It's nothing big. Mochi just has good intuition.
What a shame. My crazy brain computer doesn't work right in this mist.
Come to think of it, you talked big yesterday, but didn't have much to show for it today, did you? I still suspect you.
Okay, I won't blame you for that. But could you at least be more friendly with me? It feels like there's a wall of ice between us.
I mean, you seem like a playboy.
So that was the reason, huh? That reminded me. When we first met last time, she assumed I was Chamie's boyfriend. Was it even possible for her to have a better opinion of me? Getting along with her wouldn't hurt. I'll clear up that misunderstanding later. Honestly, though, I wanted to say more.
You're lying. You just let Ni-chan talk, and then Oji-chan made it all go to waste.
Is that how it seems to you? If you ask me, it felt like Yasunaga Oribe-sama was covering for Haruaki-sama. Whoa. He was treading into dangerous territory with that.
I felt that way too. Yasun really trusts Hassan for some reason. I wonder why. They're both the argumentative, logical types. You don't get many of those here, so they're probably happy to find a kindred spirit.
Haruaki-sama, you prefer to talk to those who you can argue with. As long as the talk is good, I don't really care. Do you dislike women who are bad with words? Don't worry, I'm sure...
Haruaki-sama, you ran away because of trouble with women, right?
What do you mean?
Nikako-san, he's probably a real bad boy. You shouldn't humor him any further.
Bad boy.
Run away and leave him to me, the super bad Chiemi girl.
I might have a fondness for bad boys.
So that's how it is, huh? Mochi, is this what a fight between adult women looks like?
Pretty sure adult women fight by slapping each other with their tits. Oh, okay. Now you've got my attention.
You disgust me.
Oh, certainly one way to change the subject, though I do understand why you want to lighten the mood around here.
Well, maybe it's fine. I still think Fusaishi's shady, though.
Honestly, being seen that way made things easier for me. Yasunaga-kun was probably relatively certain that I had a guardian. He might have realized I was planning on revealing it today and presenting them with the info I got. And I changed my plans after seeing what happened today. That probably made him seem even more certain about what I was. However, my actions only made sense if you assumed I had a guardian. Otherwise, I was just a scared fool saying whatever I could to survive. That was why Yasunaga-kun took care of the conversation before I said something important, drawing attention and Kanzo-san's ire to himself. Because of that, Haru-chan and Chiemi still thought I was irrelevant, which meant that Yasunaga-kun's plan worked. I could only hope we didn't have any more mochis around here. I didn't want anyone else putting me under a magnifying glass like he did.
Rikako-san was only elevating me because, like she said yesterday, he believed I was brought here to save them. It could have been some other feelings she had for me, but whatever the case, she stood up to any negative remarks about me. In a way, my current situation was well balanced. Old man, you a wolf or got a guardian? I see. That was communication. Nope, that's what makes him fun.
Fun.
You're talking a lot today. Old man, say something perverted. Perv!
Where'd that come from? And cut it out.
Don't act like you're not interested. Want to hear my true urban tales of lust?
Huh?
Elaborate. Honestly, I'd rather see these two get together.
There, caught her. Of course Rikako-san would be interested. You perv.
Oh, what do you mean? Why are you treating me differently than Haru Makishima-sama?
Hey, I'm just glad that the mystic beauty is a normal girl inside. I'm not about to lose to you on that front.
Care to try?
Whoa, what's happening? Adults are so dirty. Perv!
This is a living hell.
You could always go back to the Nosato mansion.
I'm not leaving this place at this time.
Because you'll be shot by the old man.
Or Muto. You think Takumi-san will go out of control for the shock from losing Tai-san? It's a definite possibility. I've known him for a long time, but I've never seen him look as cornered as he did today. Old man Makishima also said to watch out for him, didn't he? Well, that's what he meant, huh? It seemed possible. It was still daytime, but he wasn't here. What was he up to then? And how would this affect the negotiations I was planning? Maybe I was close to my limit. I mean, considering what he lost, even if he's able to keep his cool, I just don't think he's... Even if he can understand why you did it, I just don't think he's going to want to listen to you, Usaishi.
Huh? But it's dangerous to go alone. Hanzo Ji-chan will seriously shoot you.
I believe Hanzo Makishima-sama went to see him by himself.
Well, Ji-chan isn't that considerate. You say that, but I honestly think he loves you a lot. How? We barely even talked for the past half year before the feast began.
He's just a silent type. That intrigued me too, but I had to focus my attention on Takumi-san. However, if I went and did something about that, I'd probably attract the attention of the wolves. This was difficult. What was I supposed to do here?
By the way, Yasun's family sure is taking their time. I'll go listen in on them. Hey, don't! But if they're the wolves, we can't let them meet in secret, right?
Haru-chan was shocked for a moment, but she really didn't have to be. Yasunaga-kun is a monkey, so there's just no way. Exactly. If Yasunaga Uribe turned out to be a fake, that'd mean that old man Makishima was a fake as well. That'd be awful.
True.
All three of them simply couldn't have been the wolves, so there was no problem with their secret chat. However, eavesdropping isn't good, but neither is meeting in secret. Such things draw suspicion, like they did just now. Right. Mochi, Haru-chan, call them.
Why us two?
Why us two? One's fine, right? I don't mind. Let's just go.
Yeah, this wasn't a role that could be left to a single person. The secret chats would increase the likelihood of conspiracies and hidden pacts, perhaps resulting in lawless murders like last time. However, at the same time, there was the risk that someone, especially the wolves, could find out about such pacts without the parties knowing. The wolves left their houses at night to kill people, meaning they could have all the secret talks they wanted out in the night mists. We humans could only have secret talks during the day, where we risked being heard by other inhabitants and wolves. Overall, the wolves had a way bigger advantage on the intelligence front. By just meeting up at night, they didn't have to have any chats during the day. In fact, they could just focus on listening. They could also agree on what roles they would take. Which one would pretend to have a guardian, which one would side with the humans, which one would gather info. By eavesdropping on human secret chats, they could gain info without the humans even realizing someone was listening. That was why people couldn't be allowed to go off to listen to these chats on their own. It would imply they had ulterior motives. Jamie had just realized that now, huh? She sure had some tact. Did that mean she suspected Mochi, though? When Takumi-ni-san said he was a snake, I had a bad feeling come over me. It felt like I could hear the wolves laughing. He certainly had sharp intuition. This reminded me that he just asked me a leading question, whether I was a wolf or had a guardian. Did he perhaps realize? Whether he was human or wolf, he might have known that I had a guardian. Had Jamie stopped him from going off on his own because she saw him as dangerous? Perhaps I had to use my snake powers to investigate him. Shit, this was complicated. Upon returning, the Oribes wore docile expressions. But they didn't have anything to say. They just returned to their seats, and that was that. It seemed they came down at about the same time as the two students went to pick them up. This was the first time I'd seen him so serious. It made him look a lot like his brother. Large eyes, a straight gaze. They probably inherited those features from their late father, a Higuchi. I couldn't help but wonder what they'd talk about. Yasunaga-kun probably wanted to scold Yoshitsugu-kun, while Kaori-san probably was concerned about how they were holding up. I did think it was important to have a strong will in this situation. An outburst of violence would be quickly silenced, and we couldn't afford to lose potential votes to that. The feast was built around the premise of killing people through logical deduction, and letting that foundation crumble was not an option. Otherwise, we'd quickly be overwhelmed by madness and blind, murderous rage. The only ones who benefit from that would be the wolves, who had the upper hand in the information. It's quite uncomfortable here. Let me treat you. Something sweet, perhaps. She presented us with something, and I had no idea what. What's this? Uncle? Nope. My bowl had something gray and paste-like in it. It was steaming, too.
Oh, it's taco.
Taco. Let me look that up. Just to see an actual picture. Nope, not taco fashion, taco food. No, not that kind of taco. Hmm. Everyone was overjoyed and began digging into the paste with their chopsticks, so I had no reason not to do it too. Let me put taco paste. Maybe that'll bring it up. Hmm. You first too. Yeah. I'm putting in taco Japanese paste. And I'm still not quite finding something that... Oh, wait. Taco garlic miso butter. Huh. It keeps thinking I'm thinking of, I mean, maybe it's supposed to be... His taco with 1K seems to be octopus. Oh well. It looked like Anko and was about as soft. I brought my face closer and it actually had a good smell, like cubic rice crackers. The steam made it obvious, but it was pretty hot. Sweet too. Above all else though, it smelled good. It reminded me of barley or rice. Rain basically. Tea. It just happened to be sweet. Ah, here we go. Let's see. There we go, now I'm finding it. It's hataiko, parched barley flour stirred in hot water. Oh, these got cute little shapes. Huh, I'd like to try that. That looks pretty tasty. Is that what it's called outside? Well, it has several names depending on the region. It was really popular before the war, and you can still get it at some supermarkets. Yes, the locals have been making barley flour and eating it for a long time now. That's what someone told me. No one commented on her correcting herself. I've never heard of taco, though. Perhaps it's a mutation of hataiko. Even in this situation, Mamiya-san was acting professionally. Though everyone lightened up and made room for some idle talk, no one brought up anything about the feast. No one was in the mood for it either. However, I was sure that just about everyone here had the same thing. That Hisako Mamiya was a wolf. She was a bad liar. From what I'd seen during the previous loop, Haru-chan was the same way. However, since she was a bit of an eccentric, no one would notice if she acted a bit unnatural. Mamiya-san, however, was clearly the cool and intelligent type, so the sudden change in her behavior immediately stood out. It didn't seem like it had anything to do with the burden she had as a snake, or fear of the nightly attacks. If she had nothing to hide, she would calmly defend her actions and do something to help her survive the night. The first impression was a very important thing. He was lying. Everyone thought that. Not just me. I was able to get them to accept the badger's existence as fact. So they all should have... I wasn't able to get them to accept the badger's existence as fact. So they all should have assumed she was a wolf. On top of that, I was thinking about what she'd do and what I'd do with her tomorrow. Enjoying the simple sweetness, I continued to think all by myself. Time passed. We weren't too hungry, but we had dinner, rice gruel, at 5 p.m. then split up. Takumi-san had yet to return. Go back already. I appreciate the help, but this is my job. Just go back. Can't blame him for not wanting us to stick around his mother after what we said. Crap. The bluff from yesterday was too strong. I had absolutely no intention of laying a hand on a widow of teenage sons, but Yoshitsugu-kun was acting like a real knight protecting a princess. Well, he's insisting, and you've been a great help so far. Why not go and rest early? I will do just that then. Hope you fall in a fucking field. Watch your language. See you tomorrow. Yes, you too. See ya. I can't help but have a soft spot for Yoshitsugu. See ya, huh? That made it seem like he didn't see me as a complete enemy. I had no idea what he was thinking. What had they talked about back there? I was a bit curious. I'd probably have to ask Yasunaga-kun to find out. As I walked to my hut through the dark mist, I ran into the students. Hassan, you're early today. Do what you have to and let's go back. We were waiting for you. Hope it's not a bother. What do you need? With the chancla. I couldn't sense anyone else hiding in this dense mist, but that didn't mean there was no one there. Also, the only one out of these three I could trust was Yasunaga-kun. I hoped he wasn't about to reveal something dangerous. I wanted to thank you. Thank? Yes, you stopped Yoshitsugu-kun yesterday, didn't you? He told us. Oh, whatever you mean. Though, I can't say I approve of your methods. Huh? He even mentioned that. Yes. Oh, can I go hit my head on that rock and die? It's fine. He said it helped him cool off. What's this about? This sounds lewd. Anyway, if you knew that much, I didn't have to hide it. Mochi held Haru-chan back while Yasunaga-kun and I continued talking. Sorry about that. I needed something to provoke him, and it was the only idea that came to mind. I see. He's single-minded, which is good. But he doesn't seem to have a clear position in or outside the feast. Yes, that's why I wanted to tell him to actually use his head, but Mom... What did she say? Just something ominous and boring. That also helps Yoshitsugu cool off. It didn't seem like he'd get any more detailed. I see. So that's what you three were talking about. Yes. Please don't suspect us. Yeah, Ni-chan would never do anything bad. You're way shadier than him. Well, Hassan probably thinks that Haru-chan and I are both shady. Anyway, that's it. Also, sorry for being so helpless. With a grim face, it was the same as the one he made when his efforts to prevent Tai-san and Mamiya-san from being lynch targets turned out to be in vain. Don't be. I'm the adult here, so that's my line. To be honest, at this point, only Haru-chan's grandpa has any real power. Don't blame yourselves. Everyone's powerless before the mist. You said something normal for once. I'm holding myself back because Yasun and Haru-chan are here. That made sense. Well, we'll be going. Be careful, Fusaishi-san. We'll bury you if you're dead tomorrow! Ah, don't change, Mochi. That's pretty morbid. I sent them off with a simple goodbye.
but one of them refused to leave. Haru-chan?
What do you mean by, I already tried it?
What? Where did you learn about that info? I wondered what she meant by that, but then... I already tried it. Did that mean the thing I told Yoshitsugu-kun last night? What are you talking about? Yasunaga-kun didn't know. Did Yoshitsugu-kun not mention that part? Oh. Were you listening in on us yesterday? That would explain everything Rikako-san had done That would explain everything. Rikako-san had done exactly that. And it wouldn't surprise me if Haru-chan had done the same. The three of us went back early, though. Did you go ask him something later? They had no idea what she was talking about. Yoshi's words supported my assumption. There was no response. This talk wasn't that big of a deal, but the silence made it feel needlessly tense. Haru-chan. Did my voice contain a little too much irritation? I regretted speaking up. But then, all of that was blown away.
I see. So you rose. You have tried again several times, have you not?
For a moment, it felt like her mouth displayed a frighteningly maniacal grin. Haru-chan! The next moment... Oh. The next moment, her expression returned to the usual sullen face.
Huh? What's wrong?
Huh. Okay. I mean... The thought I'm having, but I'm a little reluctant to go with the idea because it feels like it would make things too obvious in this particular case, is that, as I mentioned before, I'm still struggling with how the whole wolf thing functions. But with what just happened, it seems that... Oh, that doesn't make sense. I was gonna say that maybe the people who are designated the wolf role still retain some semblance of sentience and control over themselves, but it acts more like a possession. But no, I don't think that's it. I think something else is going on here. Like, I feel like that would make things too obvious, and also just doesn't align with some other stuff that has happened in the past.
Okay.
Hold on, what was that? Hassan. The one who stopped me from going after the other two was Mochi.
This is our secret. No one else's. And it probably doesn't have anything to do with the feast. Ignore it and go to sleep.
Mochi did say before that Haru has been through a lot. And that's why he's protective of her. What are you talking about? Haru-chan's weird state just now.
Yep.
She also went all weird in the middle of the feast, didn't she? Yeah, that happened when Rikako-san used the word God.
You shall go no further. See ya, Hassan. Do your best tonight.
He also left with a bombshell. Do your best tonight could only mean that he knew I had a guardian. Who was I supposed to trust? Or rather, who was sane here?
Whoa. What the hell are you doing down there? She just froze. She just ascended.
How complicated and mysterious.
Are you talking about yourself?
Oh, how mean.
That was my line. I almost screamed when she popped out. What's up with you?
I remembered what happened yesterday, which had me worried. It would not be good if you found shelter too late. Also, it appears that Harumakishima-sama is not healed yet.
Healed? As curious as I am, it is time for me to turn in, and my throat is beginning to hurt. A nice thing, though, my nose didn't get stuffed today, so I don't know if that means I'm starting to get more used to reading for long periods of time. Or ironically, since I wasn't chugging water all this time, I just got a little tea halfway through. I don't know why that happens to me. But yeah, I'm going to have to end things right here. Let's see. For the rest of the week, this coming Friday over on the Twitch at 6 p.m. EST, it will be Final Fantasy V with Leaf, and we will probably be finishing the game, hopefully. Then Saturday on Twitch at 9 p.m. EST, it's going to be Animorphs, where we will be finishing Book 30, the reunion. Sunday... No, I won't be streaming this Sunday, since I was gonna say maybe I'll do Final Fantasy 14 and continue Hildebrand, but I think I'll just focus on Tombstone grinding until the event is over, at least. And then on Monday we'll be back here with more Raging Loop. I did intend to start doing Monday and Wednesday streams for Raging Loop, but Monday was just a very bad day for me, so I wasn't able to do it. But yeah, I'll be doubling on this game. Yes, thank you all so very much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful time zone wherever you are. And as always, please do take care of yourselves and each other. Toodaloo!